Hi guys, this is David from the Xylem Zone here. Today I just thought I'd kind of share a little bit of my story. A lot of you are just jumping onto our webpage for the first time or made us in the Xylem Zone on Facebook or seen one of my videos on the cons of property investing and how to avoid it, and you're just kind of starting to make inquiries and find out a little bit about who the Xylem Zone is and who David Neradil is. So I thought I'd jump on and just give you a bit of insight here. You know, just like you, I've been on a journey as well, and it kind of started back in probably 1989. I jumped on a plane and went overseas for the first time and left my family behind and thought I'd go away for 6 months, and literally I came back 4 years later, and it opened my eyes to a world I'd never known before, and I fell in love with the concept of traveling and really knew what my passion was and wanted to continue that. I come from a small regional town on the south coast, quite a religious, upbringing, and I'd say fairly black and white and not that open-minded, and so that traveling concept really was important for me to open my eyes and have a real sense of the world and question things, and also understand that in my view of the world, people are good everywhere in the world, and it's just everyone's trying to get ahead the best way they can and get a roof over their head, look after their family, and have safety and security. So I don't see a lot of difference between people. I think we're all looking for the same thing. We didn't come from a wealthy upbringing at all. My father was an immigrant. He married an Australian. They both worked very, very hard, but we lived in a housing commission house with only 2 bedrooms and 3 boys in one room. And mum and dad lost a couple of children along the way, and had to carry that grief, and really just realistically never dealt with it. And dad died early, and mum's been by herself for a long time. So I saw them work very, very hard and never kind of seemed to be able to get ahead financially. They always seemed to be stuck in credit card debt, and even though I wasn't fully aware of things back then, I knew they were paying interest 18% on their mortgage, and the only way they managed to get into their own family home is because my mother's family sold their property as they went into retirement, and that allowed them to build a house for the granny flat and look after the grandparents as they got older. So I was scared to death of debt growing up because I only saw bad debt, and by the time I came back from my travels, I thought, well, the number one thing is that I've got to go to university and get a good education. So I didn't do that well at school. I did well in the subjects I enjoyed, like probably a lot of people, but I didn't do well in those other subjects, especially the physics and type things as well. So I failed my HSC, but I got a job fairly fast after that, and I kind of got independence, moved out of home when I was 17, and my parents didn't have any money to support me, so I was out there and had to provide for myself, and that started a journey into retail management. And the reality is, I saw my boss at the age of 22 have his first heart attack, third heart attack I should say, and he died at 33, and he was 10 years older, and I already looked down that path and realised that retail management, even though it might give you some great people skills and general skills, it wasn't a future there. Hence I escaped and did the travelling bit, and I thought the solution was getting the education when I came back, but invariably I did my couple of years full-time business, and I did really, really well, did better than I'd ever done at school, and didn't drop below 70%, but I realised that there's not a single thing that I loved. I couldn't imagine being an accountant for the rest of my life or a lawyer for the rest of my life, and nothing had much heart, so I ended up kind of focusing on HR, and went into a more generalist sales role, people management role. I did that for quite a few years with a company I loved and the sweet people I really enjoyed working with. But invariably, I still got to the year of 2000 and thought there's got to be more to life. And my wife and I had got together. We saved $100,000 in our jobs, and we really wanted to escape and go around the country and travel around Australia, Camp Australia, and that type of thing. And but I realised at some stage we're going to have to come back, and probably all our money be gone, and we'd be a bit older and have to start all over again. And I got a ticket for an event to go along to in Sydney, and it said you could buy a property with no money. And I thought, this has to be a scam. I was very sceptical, but I registered and went to the event, and they started late. There was people, I tried to talk to the people that worked there, no one seemed to work there for very long. I didn't like the guy's voice. I was so skeptical, I was just trying to shut it down. I just thought it sounded too good to be true. But invariably, the guy started talking. Yes, I didn't like his voice, but within half an hour, the information he pulled out, I was like, well, this is amazing. I haven't heard a lot of this information before in my life, and it makes sense. And within a period of time, I jumped on and did a 3-day course. My first seminar, paid $5,000 for 3 days, flew down to Melbourne, and got thrown into the deep end and bombarded with information, but it was an amazing catalyst to get me in, and out the other side of that then I started the journey of being a property investor. The reality is that was a suit and a lot of information, most of what I didn't remember, and I went out there and had to give it a go. But we stuck to it and bought our first property using those principles. And I said to my wife, we didn't use any money, and I said, well, that was the only reason we were able to do that is we were able to understand finance, understand the markets, understand how to structure things. It wasn't magic, it wasn't anything dodgy at all. And so I said to my wife, well, let's delay our trip and maybe we get 2 or 3 properties under our belt. So we set ourselves up so when we come back, we can at least come back to something. And we did that. And in the end, I went to a lot of my friends and told them what I was doing, the people in particularly that had experience in property, and they all thought I joined a cult and didn't want to have a bar of me. And then also went down the track of then going and basically talking to the friends that didn't have any results that were quite interested. And they were interested, but again, they couldn't give me any advice or anything at all, so there wasn't really too much to talk to them about. So invariably I just I said, well, the only people I know that are getting results are the people that work within this company. I've got to get on the inside. And I actually then got a role with it as a consulting coach there, as a coach consulting, and shared a lot of the information I'd learned in that short period of time and helped other people down the track. And that really started the journey. And that was for about 3 years, but invariably a lot of these companies grow and they get bigger, and unfortunately they tend up looking a little bit more, get a bit more focused on the revenue and the sales and the expenses as opposed to service and looking after clients. So I kind of separated ways and moved to Queensland, and my wife and I had a bit of a kickstart. And then I had 2 years there where I was just really just demotivated and really kind of, I wasn't actually that well. And it seems like the stress of kind of those few years just caught up with me, and then the fear of the future came in as well. And I got a bit of inflammation in my body. I couldn't even walk, and it was from an old travelling bug I got, and I realised, but also it was just, there was massive change going on and I wasn't coping with it. And I kind of went into, I would have said that I was probably borderline depressed at that stage. I didn't get anyone to look at me at that time, but I know by behaviour that I was. But what I realised within a period of time is that I was focusing on my life and looking at the things that I hadn't achieved or hadn't got as opposed to what I did have, and I wasn't being very grateful at all. And my wife said to me, righto, well, what have you learnt? Well, it's actually first thing she said to me, how did you get here? What have you learnt? What do you want? And what are you going to do about it? And that very much got me onto a process then of going, righto, well, what is it I really want? And I sat down and over a couple of days and did a lot of journaling, and the 3 words I came up with: I love to teach, I love to travel, and I love to learn. And from that period, I then connected with someone just randomly who ran a company that had a coaching business and focused on property and working with people on their personal kind of goals. And within a period of time, I was running that mentoring program on a national level and ended up having a relationship with that company for 10 years as a contractor and working through myself with them, and had an amazing journey. And between those 2 companies, I probably, it's been almost 20 years, probably a good 10, 13 years of 15 years of coaching in there, and I would have probably dealt with over 1,000 clients. It has been absolutely wonderful. But I've sat in the backlight and really enjoyed the one-on-one work with people. I have avoided the limelight. There's always been people that have had enjoyed that a little bit more, and I never liked it that much, but I realise now in this world of social media and connecting online, that's the way it is, and you've got to get out there, hence this video today. After the 10 years, again, I saw that company I was dealing with again just grow and get bigger, and as big companies do, they change and everything shifts a little bit, and I wanted something that was a little more personalised. And as much as I understand that property is a good vehicle, I've never been passionate about property. It's just a vehicle. It's like other vehicles, like business, and the vehicle itself doesn't make me happy. It's what stands behind it. It's helping your family. It's giving your kids a good education. It's making sure you're healthy. It's making sure you help your folks when you're older. It's contributing. It's doing something with purpose. So all these things are really the reason that property is important. So property is more to me a vehicle, and it's how do we use that vehicle to create the life that we want, and then how do we, most of us don't run our life very effectively, and if it was a business we'd probably be bankrupt. So how can we sit down and get our life in order and redesign those aspects so we can get on track and get the things we really want? There just seems to be too many people out there that are sitting in jobs they hate and are incongruent with, but because of the level of bad debt and they living paycheck to paycheck and their lack of understanding around finance and investment and business, they're still stuck in a job. Not saying a job's bad, but a lot of them are doing jobs they don't love, and they pay a lot of tax and once they cover their costs for living, there's not much left over. And I've got a real passion now to help people move out of that trap. I've been through those experiences, did that journey, understand what it's like, have worn the scars, but also understand that there's a lot of things you can do to get out of that. And so the program we've set up is called Redesign Your Life, and that's all about sitting down and getting to a place and going, well, where am I now? Is that really where I want to be? And where do I want to be? and then sitting down and helping people work through those steps. So I put together a program. We're going to run a live event in a few months' time, and that's going to be a 2-day free event where we actually sit down with you, and the whole focus is you, your goals, what you want, and what you want your life to look like. We start with that, and then we systematically go through it over that 2 days, and like a jigsaw puzzle, put the pieces together. You end up with a template which takes you with a knowledge base through the steps of shifting the things in your life to start creating the life that you want. And you know, today I'm sitting up here in beautiful Mount Tamborine. It's where I live. I love the location up here. I can be at either airport in 50 minutes and be around the country, and I can be up in Brisbane. I can be down the coast at the beach. But I sit up in this semi-rural area where I know the fruit guy at the fruit shop. I know the person in the bakery. I know the person in the coffee. There's still people know each other and connect. There's still plenty of trees. It's natural, so I get that natural connect. I get that lovely connection to nature. But I can go down the coast and go and have a good feed and go to the beach and do that as well, or jet set around the country or overseas, what I have to do. And to me, that's what property is for. Property is a business to give you cash, to give you the life, and that's been part of that. And if you tie good management of money and good use of debt in a proactive way, and also a structure and maybe a good side hustle onto that, or a small business, you can create a life where you can move out of that job that you maybe hate and start working towards something you love and create something different. So guys, that's a bit of my journey. It's been an interesting one, but I wouldn't change a single thing. And starting to get out there a little bit now, so hopefully this gives you a bit more context to where I'm at. And you see some reason to come along. There's going to be some marketing coming out soon. You'll see my face on Facebook and probably on Instagram as well. And I'm doing a whole series on the cons of property investing and how to avoid them, because there is so many pitfalls out there that can really trap you when you go through that process. So keep an eye for those as well. There's some good little tips there. They're only short, and hopefully they stop you making some mistakes along the way. But anyway, guys, that's it. Thanks for taking your time to listen to me today, and I really look forward to hopefully seeing you online, or connect with us at the Xylem Zone. You've got a Facebook page there, or a web page. It's the XYLMEN Zone. And the Xylem Zone stands for, it's the rings in a tree when you cut a tree, and it's all the water that connects and all those cycles that go on. And I suppose we see our little business community there as something that understands the cycles of life and also wants to just connect with other people and help them on that journey as well. Hence, that's the reason we're doing these events and getting out there as well. And we realise that there's going to be a portion of people that want to work with us because it's a bit hard to do it by themselves, and they'll be the people that work with us on a coaching level. But other than that, we don't sell property. We do no other side agenda in regard to any other things we promote. It's just good old education, and hopefully it's going to make a difference to some of the steps in your life. Thanks again. Have a great day, and talk to you soon.